Welcome to my channel. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe. I hope you enjoy the story. Let's get started. The sharp ring of my phone disrupts the stillness of our living room. I glance at the clock, 7:30 p.m. on a Friday. Setting down my tablet, where I've been reviewing plans for the new downtown high-rise, I grab my phone. Lila's name lights up the screen. "Hey hon, what's going on?" I answer, trying to sound cheerful, despite the knot forming in my stomach. "Brad, I'm heading out to that party I mentioned, the one Trevor's hosting for his new club launch," Lila says, excitement lacing her voice. I frown, remembering our earlier talk. "Lila, I thought we agreed you'd skip this one. We planned to have dinner together tonight, remember?" "Oh, come on, Brad. This is work. I can't just bail on a client's event," she argues. "Besides, we haven't done anything fun in ages. One of us should at least get out." Right, the knot in my stomach tightens. "I don't know. Lee, something about this Trevor guy just feels off. Can't you send someone else from your team?" Lila's sigh crackles through the phone. "Brad, we've been over this. Trevor's a major client, and I need to be there personally. It's just business, okay? Don't wait up before I can reply." The line goes dead. I stare at the phone, a mix of frustration and worry washing over me. 8 years of marriage, and it feels like we're drifting further apart with every passing day. I lean back in my chair, running a hand through my hair. The house suddenly feels too quiet, too empty. My eyes land on a framed photo on the mantel, Lila, and me on our honeymoon, all smiles and starry-eyed love. When did things start to change? Shaking off the melancholy, I force myself to concentrate on work. The Bennett project won't manage itself, and I've got a presentation for the investors on Monday. I bury myself in blueprints and budget reports, trying to ignore the nagging voice that whispers something isn't right. Hours pass, and the house grows darker as night sets in, illuminated only by the glow of my laptop. I check my phone periodically, but there are no messages from Lila. At midnight, I give up on work and head to bed alone. Sleep evades me as I toss and turn, my mind conjuring images of Lila laughing with Trevor, drinking, dancing. I tell myself I'm being paranoid, that Lila would never, but the doubt lingers, an unwelcome presence in the darkness. Just as I'm about to drift off, my phone buzzes loudly on the nightstand. Groggy, I fumble for it, squinting at the bright screen. It's a message from Lila's number. But as I read it, ice floods my veins. "Hey man, your wife's really enjoying herself with this jerk. She's wild." Attached is a video. My hands shaking, I press play. The image is dark and shaky, but I can make out enough. Lila, her head thrown back in ecstasy, straddling a man I assume is Trevor. His voice, slurred with alcohol, taunts through the speakers, "Joe, don't send that to my cuckolded husband." Lila's voice follows, a mix of panic and drunken laughter. The phone slips from my numb fingers, clattering to the floor. I sit frozen as my world crumbles. The love of my life, my partner, my best friend, how could she do this? Rage bubbles up, threatening to explode. I want to drive to Trevor's place right now, to confront them, to make them pay. But a small, rational part of my brain holds me back. No, that's not the way. If I want real revenge, I need to be smart. Taking a deep breath, I force myself to think. First things first, evidence. I save the video to my phone and back it up to the cloud. Then, fighting back the bile rising in my throat, I watch it again, looking for any details that might be useful later. Next, I draft an email to Franklin Mears, the best divorce attorney in Denver. We've worked together on a few construction contracts, and I know he's a shark in the courtroom. I briefly explain the situation and request an urgent meeting. By the time I finish, the first rays of dawn are creeping through the curtains. I hear a car pull up outside Lila's back. Steeling myself, I get up and head downstairs. I'm standing in the doorway when Lila stumbles in, her hair a mess, makeup smeared, and reeking of alcohol and something else, probably Trevor's cologne. My stomach churns. "Don't come in," I say, my voice cold and steady despite the turmoil inside me. Lila blinks, confusion crossing her face. "Brad, what are you doing up so early? Is everything okay? I don't answer. Instead, I hold up my phone, the incriminating video paused on the screen. Lila's eyes widen, all color draining from her face. I know everything I say, each word dropping like a stone between us. You're not coming back into this house, Brad. Please, Lila cries, reaching for me. I step back, keeping her at arm's length. I didn't mean it. I was drunk. It doesn't matter. I cut her off. You made your choice, now live with it. Tears stream down Lila's face as she begins to sob. Brad, I'm sorry. It was a mistake. Please, let me explain. But I've heard enough. Without another word, I shut the door in her face, turning the lock with a decisive click. Through the wood, I hear her crying, begging me to let her in. I stand there, my forehead pressed against the door, battling the urge to forgive her, to take her in my arms and pretend none of this happened. But I can't. The trust is broken, and no amount of tears or apologies can put it back together. I spend the next few hours in a daze, mechanically going through my morning routine: shower, shave, dress for work. But as I'm about to leave, I realize I can't face the office today. I call in sick for the first time in years, telling my assistant to reschedule my meetings. Instead, I drive to a coffee shop across town, far from our usual haunts. As I sip my black coffee, bitter and strong, I start making calls. First, to a locksmith to change the house locks, then to our bank to freeze our joint account. Finally, I call Carolyn Turner, a private investigator I've worked with on suspected theft cases at my construction sites. Carolyn, it's Brad Manning. I've got a job for you, if you're interested. It's personal. Carolyn's voice is professional, showing no surprise at the nature of my request. I'm listening, Brad. What do you need? I take a deep breath, steeling myself. I need you to gather evidence on my wife, Lila. She's ... She's been unfaithful. I want to know everything: who she's seeing, where they meet, how long it's been going on. And I need dirt on the other man, too. His name's Trevor Grant. I see, Carolyn says, her tone softening slightly. I'm sorry you're going through this, Brad. I'll get right on it. You'll have my initial report within 48 hours. As I hang up, a text from Franklin Mears arrives, confirming our meeting this afternoon. Things are happening fast, almost too fast for me to fully grasp, but I know I can't afford to slow down or let my emotions interfere. Lila made her decision, and now I have to make mine. The rest of the morning blurs with phone calls and emails. I reach out to our friends and family, calmly explaining the situation. Their responses range from shock to outrage to disbelief. Lila's sister, Emma, calls me in tears, apologizing for her sister's actions and offering her support. I always thought you two were perfect together, she says, voice breaking. How could Lila do this? I don't have an answer. I'm still asking myself the same question. By the time I step into Franklin's office that afternoon, I feel empty, drained. But as soon as I sit across from him, a new feeling sets in: determination. Franklin leans in, his eyes sharp behind his glasses. All right, Brad, tell me everything so I do. I recount the past 24 hours in cold, clinical detail, showing him the video and explaining about hiring Carolyn. When I finish, Franklin nods thoughtfully. Brad, I won't sugarcoat this, it's a mess. But you've handled things well so far, gathering evidence, freezing accounts. That's good, we can work with this. He spends the next hour outlining our strategy, explaining Colorado's divorce laws and what I can expect regarding asset division. By the time we're done, I feel a small glimmer of hope for the first time since seeing that video. One more thing, Franklin adds, as I prepare to leave. I know you're hurting, but keep a level head. Don't do anything rash that could hurt our case. Let the law work for you. I nod, grateful for his advice. Thanks, Franklin. I'll do my best. As I drive home, my phone buzzes with a message from Carolyn. Got some interesting info on your wife and Mr. Grant. Call me when you can. My heart races as I pull over to make the call. What did you find? I ask without preamble. Carolyn's tone is somber. It wasn't a one-time thing. I have proof of at least 3 other meetings between Lila and Trevor in the last month. Always at his place. Always when you were working late. I grip the steering wheel, my knuckles turning white. Anything else? Yeah, and you're not going to like it. Trevor's been sleeping with multiple women, not just Lila. I've got photos of him with at least 2 others this past week alone. A bitter laugh escapes me. So, not only did my wife cheat on me, but the guy she cheated with is cheating on her, too. Fantastic. I'm sorry, Brad, Carolyn says softly. I'll keep digging and let you know what else I find. I'll have a full report by tomorrow. I thank her and hang up, feeling numb. Part of me wants to call Lila and confront her with this new information. But what's the point? Nothing she says can undo what she's done. Instead, I drive home, my mind racing with plans. By the time I pull into the driveway, I know what I have to do next. I spend the evening composing emails, attaching the video and the information Carolyn uncovered. I send them to Lila's boss, Donovan Hale, and her key clients. It's a calculated move, one that will likely destroy her career in event planning. Part of me feels guilty, but I push that aside. She brought this on herself. As I hit send on the last email, my phone rings. It's Lila. I let it go to voicemail and listen as her tearful voice fills the quiet room. Brad, please. I know you're angry, and you have every right to be, but we need to talk. What happened with Trevor was a mistake, a terrible, stupid mistake. I love you, Brad. Please, just give me a chance to explain. Call me back, please. I delete the message without hesitation. There's nothing left to explain, nothing left to say. Tomorrow, I'll file for divorce. Tomorrow, I'll start untangling our lives. But tonight, I let myself grieve for the marriage I thought we had, for the future we'll never have together. As I crawl into my bed now, alone, I wonder if I'll ever be able to trust anyone again. The pain is raw, a gaping wound in my chest, but beneath it, a spark of anger burns. Lila chose to throw away our marriage for a fling with Trevor, and now she'll have to live with the consequences. I close my eyes, exhaustion finally overtaking me. Tomorrow is another day, another battle, but for now I surrender to the darkness, hoping for a few hours of dreamless sleep before facing my new reality. The shrill ring of my phone jolts me awake. Sunlight streams through the curtains, and for a fleeting moment, I forget. Then, reality crashes back, and the weight of yesterday settles over me like a heavy blanket. I grab my phone, seeing Carolyn's name on the screen. Clearing my throat, I answer. Morning, Carolyn. What do you have for me? Brad, I've got something big. Can you meet me at Rosie's diner in an hour? Her tone sends a jolt of adrenaline through me. I'll be there. I dress quickly, my mind racing. What could Carolyn have discovered? Part of me dreads knowing more, but I push that aside. Knowledge is power, and right now, I need every bit I can get. Rosie's is packed with the morning crowd when I arrive. I spot Carolyn in a corner booth, a thick manila folder in front of her. She stands as I approach, her expression grim. Brad, she says, shaking my hand. How are you holding up? I shrug, sliding into the booth. As well as can be expected. What did you find? Carolyn opens the folder, spreading out photos and documents. It's worse than we thought. Lila's been seeing Trevor for at least 3 months. I've got receipts, hotel bookings, even some intimate photos. My stomach churns as I look at the evidence of my wife's betrayal. Christ, I mutter, running a hand over my face. Anything else? Carolyn nods, her expression hardening. Trevor's been playing her. He's got at least 4 other women on rotation, including his assistant and one of Lila's clients. I let out a bitter laugh. So, she threw away our marriage for a guy who's cheating on her, too. Unbelievable. There's more, Carolyn says, lowering her voice. I dug into Trevor's finances. He's not as well off as he pretends. His new club, it's leveraged to the max. If it doesn't succeed, he's facing bankruptcy. I lean back, absorbing the information. So he's using Lila for her connections in the event planning world. Carolyn nods. Exactly. And there's a good chance he's skimming money from the club to support his lifestyle. I've got some leads, but I need more time to confirm. Do it, I say, my resolve hardening. Whatever it costs. I want everything you can find on both of them. As I leave the diner, My phone buzzes with a text from Franklin. Need to see you ASAP. New developments. An hour later, I'm back in Franklin's office, still processing Carolyn's revelations. Franklin looks up from his computer, his expression a mix of satisfaction and concern. Brad, I've got good news and bad news. The good news is that with the evidence we have, we can push for a favorable divorce settlement. Lila's infidelity gives us a strong position. I nod, feeling a glimmer of hope. And the bad news, Franklin sighs. Lila's lawyer reached out. They're pushing for mediation, trying to keep this out of court. They're offering a 50/50 split of assets. No, I say firmly, shaking my head. After what she did, she doesn't deserve half. I agree, Franklin says, leaning forward. Which is why we should counter with our own offer. Given the circumstances, I believe we can push for you to keep the house and most of your assets. We might even be able to get her to pay alimony. I raise an eyebrow. Alimony? Can we really pull that off? Franklin grins, a predatory gleam in his eyes. With what we have? Absolutely. Lila's actions have not only violated your marriage vows but may have damaged her own career. We can argue that her infidelity caused you emotional distress and impacted your ability to work. As Franklin outlines our strategy, I feel a mix of emotions. Part of me still loves Lila, still wants to protect her. But the larger part, the part that's been hurt and betrayed, wants justice. Do it, I say finally. Let's take her for everything we can. The next few weeks pass in a whirlwind of legal meetings, phone calls, and sleepless nights. I throw myself into work, grateful for the distraction. The Bennett project is moving forward, and I spend long hours at the construction site, overseeing every detail. One of those late nights, I get a call from Carolyn. Brad, I've got it proof that Trevor's been stealing money from the club, and there's more. Remember when I mentioned he was sleeping with one of Lila's clients? That client is actually the wife of a state senator. I let out a low whistle. That's huge. What do we do with this? That's up to you, Brad, but if it were me, I'd use it. This could sink Trevor's entire operation. I thank her and hang up, my mind buzzing. I could ruin Trevor completely, but is that what I want? Do I want to stoop to their level? As I drive home, I make up my mind I won't use all the information, but I'll make sure Lila knows exactly who she threw our marriage away for. The next morning, I call Lila. It's the first time we've spoken directly since that night. Brad, her voice is small and unsure. I'm glad you called. Can we talk? That's why I'm calling, I reply, keeping my tone neutral. Meet me at the house in an hour. We need to discuss some things. An hour later, I'm sitting in my living room when the doorbell rings. I take a deep breath, bracing myself before opening the door. Lila stands there, looking smaller, her eyes red and puffy, her usually perfect hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. For a moment, my resolve wavers, but then I remember the video, the photos, and I harden my heart. Come in, I say, stepping aside. Lila enters hesitantly, glancing around the familiar room like it's a strange place. Brad, I cut her off. Before you say anything, there are things you need to know. I lead her to the dining room table, where I've laid out the evidence Carolyn gathered. Lila's eyes widen as she takes in the photos, the receipts, and the bank statements. What? What is all this? She whispers. This, I say, my voice cold, is the man you threw our marriage away for. Did you know he's been with at least 4 other women, including your client, Mrs. Hendrick? Lila gasps, her hand flying to her mouth. No, that can't be true. It is, I confirm, and there's more. Trevor's club is nearly bankrupt. He's been using you, your connections, your clients. He's even been embezzling money. Tears roll down Lila's cheeks as she stares at the evidence. Brad, I didn't know. I swear I didn't know any of this. Would it have mattered if you did? I ask, unable to hide the bitterness. You still chose him over me, over our marriage. Lila looks up at me, pleading. It was a mistake, Brad. The biggest mistake of my life. I was lost, trapped, and Trevor made me feel excited, wanted. But it wasn't real. What we had, what we still have, that's real. I shake my head, stepping back. Had, Lila. What we had. There is no we anymore. Please, she begs, reaching out. We can fix this. We can go to counseling, work through it. I love you, Brad. I never stopped loving you for a moment. I'm tempted the familiar scent of her perfume, the softness in her eyes. But then I remember the video, Trevor's mocking voice, Lila's drunken laughter. No, I say firmly, we can't fix this. You broke us, Lila, and now you'll have to live with the consequences. I hand her a folder. These are the divorce papers. My lawyer will be in touch to discuss the settlement. Lila takes the folder, her hands trembling. Settlement? What do you mean? I reply, my voice icy. I'll be keeping the house and most of our assets. Given your actions and the potential damage to your career, we'll also be pushing for alimony. Lila's face turns pale. Alimony. But Brad, that's not fair. I made a mistake, yes, but fair. I interrupt, my anger boiling over. Was it fair when you slept with Trevor? When you let him record you mocking me? Was any of this fair, Lila? She flinches, fresh tears spilling down her cheeks. I'm sorry, she whispers. I'm so sorry. I take a deep breath, trying to control my emotions. Your apologies don't change anything. Sign the papers, Lila. It's over. As Lila leaves, clutching the divorce papers to her chest, I feel a mix of relief, anger, sadness, and a lingering love that will take time to fade. But I'm sure I've made the right decision. There's no going back. The next few weeks blur into a whirlwind of legal battles. True to his word, Franklin fights hard in the negotiations. Lila's lawyer, faced with the overwhelming evidence we've gathered, can only try to minimize the damage. In the end, we get everything we wanted. I keep the house, most of our assets, and Lila agrees to pay alimony. It's a crushing defeat for her, but I can't bring myself to feel guilty. She made her choices, and now she has to live with them. As I sign the final divorce papers, Franklin pats me on the shoulder. Congratulations, Brad. It's done. I nod, feeling strangely empty. Thanks, Franklin. For everything that night, I sit alone in the house that was once ours, now mine. The silence is overwhelming. I pour myself a glass of whiskey, toasting to what? The end of my marriage. The start of a new chapter. My phone buzzes with a message from an unknown number, but I recognize the area code. It's Trevor. Hey man, heard about the divorce. Tough break. But hey, at least Lila's free now, right? Maybe we can all grab a drink sometime. No hard feelings. I stare at the message, incredulous. Is he serious? After everything, he thinks we can just have a drink. Before I can respond, another message comes through, an invite to the grand opening of Trevor's new club next week. I laugh bitterly at his audacity. Then an idea strikes me. Maybe it's time to show Trevor exactly who he's been messing with. I quickly reply, sure, I'd love to come. See you there. As I put down my phone, a smile spreads across my face. It's not over yet, not by a long shot. Trevor thinks he's won, that he's gotten away with it, but he has no idea what's coming. I pick up my phone again and dial Carolyn's number. Carolyn, it's Brad. Remember that evidence you found on Trevor's embezzlement? I think it's time we put it to use. As I outline my plan to Carolyn, I feel a surge of energy I haven't felt in weeks. For the first time, I'm looking forward to something. Trevor wanted to play games. Fine. Let's play. The game is just starting and I intend to win. The night of Trevor's club opening arrives, and I stand in front of my mirror, adjusting my tie. The face staring back at me looks harder. Older. These past months have changed me in ways I'm just beginning to understand. My phone buzzes. It's Carolyn. Everything's set. Are you sure about this? I take a deep breath and type back. Absolutely. Let's finish this. Driving to Trevor's club feels surreal. Neon lights blur past as I navigate through Denver's busy downtown. A line of people snakes around the block as I pull up to the valet. The music inside pulses so loud I can feel it in my chest. As I hand my keys to the valet, I hear a familiar voice. Brad. Brad Manning. I turn to see Melissa Jensen, a teacher I met at a charity event last month. She looks stunning in a sleek black dress, her blonde hair cascading over her shoulders. Melissa, I say, genuinely surprised. I didn't expect to see you here. She laughs, light and carefree. My roommate dragged me out, said I needed to live a little. What about you? I didn't think this was your scene. I force a smile. Just checking out the competition. Construction business, you know. She links her arm through mine. Well, since we're both here, why not go in together? I hesitate for a moment. This wasn't part of the plan. But Melissa's warm smile, and the thought of not facing this alone win me over. I'd like that, I say, leading her towards the entrance. Inside, the club is a sensory overload. Strobe lights flash, music blares, and the air is thick with the smell of alcohol and sweat. We make our way to the bar, and I order us drinks. So Melissa shouts over the noise, "How have you been?" I heard about. Well, you know. I take a long sip of my whiskey. It's been tough, I admit, but I'm getting through it. One day at a time, right? Melissa squeezes my arm, sympathetic. You're strong, Brad. You'll come out of this even better. Before I can respond, I spot him, Trevor, holding court in a VIP section, surrounded by beautiful women and admiring glances. My hand tightens around my glass. Brad, Melissa's voice snaps me back. You okay? I nod, forcing a smile. Yeah, just thought I saw someone I knew. Listen, I need to take care of something. Will you be okay for a few minutes? She nods, looking concerned. Of course, I'll be right here. I weave through the crowd, my focus locked on Trevor. As I approach, he looks up, his face breaking into a smile that doesn't quite reach his eyes. Brad, my man, he shouts, arms wide. You made it. Come join us. I plaster on a fake smile, stepping into the VIP area. Trevor, quite a place you've got here. Trevor beams, gesturing around. Isn't it? Best club in Denver, mark my words. Drink. I accept the champagne, clinking glasses with him. To success, I say, my voice laced with insincerity. Trevor downs his drink, oblivious to the tension. So Brad, no hard feelings about Lila, right? These things happen, you can't fight chemistry. My jaw tightens, but I keep my cool. No hard feelings, I lie. In fact, I should thank you. Trevor raises an eyebrow. Thank me, I nod, leaning in close. You opened my eyes, man. Made me see what I was missing. See that blonde over there? I gesture toward Melissa at the bar. She's my date tonight. Never would have asked her out if I was still with Lila. Trevor's eyes widen, a flash of jealousy crossing his face. Well, well, didn't think you had it in you, Brad. Good for you. Just then, a commotion erupts near the entrance. I hide a smile, knowing exactly what's happening. What the hell? Trevor mutters, standing up. I place a hand on his shoulder. Might want to stay put, Trevor. Things are about to get interesting. Before he can react, 2 police officers push through the crowd, followed by a man in a suit I recognize as Detective Johnson, the contact Carolyn set up. Trevor Grant. Detective Johnson's voice booms over the music. Trevor goes pale, looking around frantically. What's going on? The detective steps forward, his expression stern. Mr. Grant, we have a warrant for your arrest on charges of embezzlement and fraud. Trevor stammers, backing away. This is absurd. You can't. We can, and we are. Detective Johnson replies, nodding to the officers. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in court. As the officers cuff Trevor, his eyes lock onto mine. The realization dawns, quickly followed by fury. Brad's accusations land with force. Trevor glares at me, his fury barely contained. You did this, he snarls. I shrug, allowing a slight, satisfied smile to surface. Let's just say you should be more careful about who you cross, Trevor. Officers begin to escort him away, but Trevor resists, lunging towards me. You'll regret this, Manning. I'll destroy you. I hold my ground, meeting his gaze unflinchingly. No, Trevor, you destroyed yourself. I just made sure everyone saw it. As Trevor is dragged away, the club descends into chaos, people shouting and scrambling to see what's going on. Amidst it all, I catch a glimpse of a familiar face, Lila, standing by the bar, her expression a mix of shock and maybe relief. Our eyes meet across the crowded room, and for a brief moment, we just stare. Slowly she nods, and I do the same, a silent acknowledgement passing between us. It's over, really, truly over. I make my way back to Melissa, who appears bewildered by the uproar. Brad, what just happened, she asks, eyes wide with confusion. I exhale deeply, the exhaustion suddenly catching up with me. It's a long story. How about we get out of here? I'll explain over coffee. Melissa nods, accepting my arm, and as we step into the cool night air, I feel a weight lift from my shoulders. The revenge I thought I craved doesn't feel as sweet as I had imagined, but the sense of closure brings its own form of peace. In the following weeks, Trevor's arrest dominates the headlines, with fallout that's nothing short of spectacular. The club is shut down, investors are in an uproar, and Trevor faces years in prison if found guilty. I bury myself in work, grateful for the distraction. The Bennett project is progressing well, and I'm even in early discussions about a new development on the town's outskirts. One late night at the office, my phone rings. It's Lila. Brad, she begins, her voice small and hesitant. I hope it's okay that I called, leaning back in my chair. I'm surprised by my own lack of anger. It's fine, Lila. What's up? She takes a deep breath. I wanted to thank you for exposing Trevor. I know you didn't do it for me, but it made me see a lot of things clearly. I respond honestly, I'm glad. How are you holding up? She sighs, the weight of her struggles evident. It's been tough. I lost my job, most of my clients, and my reputation. Well, you can imagine. But I'm working through it, trying to rebuild. I nod, even though she can't see. That's good, Lila. I hope things turn around for you. There's a pause, heavy with unspoken thoughts. Lila finally breaks the silence. Brad, I know it doesn't change anything, but I truly am sorry for everything. You didn't deserve any of it. I close my eyes, emotions swirling. I know, Lila. I believe you. She hesitates, then asks, do you think we could ever be friends again? Someday. The question catches me off guard. After a moment, I reply, I don't know, Lila. Maybe someday, but not right now. We both need time to heal. She understands, replying softly, thank you for talking to me, Brad. Take care of yourself. As I end the call, I'm startled to feel tears on my cheeks. Wiping them away, I'm struck by a mix of sadness and relief. It's not forgiveness, not yet, but it's a beginning. The next day, I decide to take a rare day off. I drive to the mountains and hike a trail Lila and I once loved. Reaching the summit, I look out over Denver's vast landscape, feeling a quiet sense of peace. My phone buzzes with a message from Melissa. Hope you're enjoying your day off. Dinner tonight? I smile and quickly reply, absolutely. As I make my way back down, I reflect on the past few months, the pain, the anger, the thirst for revenge. It's still there, but it feels muted now, like a wound that's finally starting to heal. I think about Lila, hoping she finds the peace she seeks. I think about Trevor, hoping he learns from this. And I think about myself, the man I was, and the one I'm becoming. As the sun sets, painting the sky with vivid hues of orange and pink, I stand by my car, taking in the view. With a deep breath, I climb in and drive back to the city, towards dinner with Melissa and whatever the future holds. For the first time in a long while, I feel something new: hope. When I get home, the house is quiet, but it no longer feels empty. I shower, change, and as I'm about to head out for dinner, my phone buzzes with an email notification. It's from Franklin. Final divorce papers filed. It's officially over. Congratulations, Brad. Here's to new beginnings. I stare at the message for a long time, emotions swirling inside me. Finally, I take a deep breath and type a response. Thanks, Franklin, for everything. The drive to the restaurant is calm, with Denver's skyline sparkling in the distance, a city filled with endless opportunities. I find myself looking forward to dinner, to Melissa's company, in a way I haven't felt excited about anything in months. Melissa is waiting outside when I arrive, her face lighting up with a warm smile. There you are. I was beginning to think you stood me up. I smile back. Never. Sorry I'm late. Got caught up in some personal stuff. She links her arm with mine as we walk in. Anything you want to talk about? I pause, considering. Actually, yeah, I think I do. During dinner, I open up to Melissa, telling her everything about Lila, Trevor, the revenge plot, and how it all played out. She listens closely, occasionally reaching across the table to squeeze my hand in support. When I finish, she leans back, processing it all. Wow, Brad, that's ... a lot. How are you feeling now? I take a sip of wine, thinking. Honestly, better than I've felt in a long time. It's like I can finally breathe again, you know. Melissa nods, her eyes soft and understanding. I'm glad. You deserve to be happy, Brad. And for what it's worth, I think you handled everything with a lot of grace. Her words warm me inside. Thanks, Melissa. That means a lot. After our meal, Melissa suggests a walk through the nearby park. The night is cool and clear, stars twinkling above. We stroll in comfortable silence, our hands occasionally brushing against each other. Finally, Melissa breaks the quiet. So what's next for Brad Manning? I chuckle. Good question. Work's going great. The Bennett project is almost wrapped up, and I've got some exciting new ventures lined up. Melissa smiles. That's wonderful, but I meant personally. What do you want? Brad, I stop walking and turn to face her. Her eyes sparkle in the moonlight, full of warmth and possibility, and suddenly I know exactly what I want. This I say softly, leaning in to kiss her. The kiss starts gently, tentative, then deepens as Melissa responds. When we finally pull away, we're both a bit breathless. Wow, Melissa whispers, a smile spreading on her lips. I grin, feeling lighter than I have in months. Yeah, wow. As we continue our walk, now hand in hand, I feel a sense of contentment wash over me. The future feels full of promise. Back at my house, Melissa and I sit on the porch, talking late into the night. We share stories, dreams, and fears. It's easy and comfortable, reminding me how good relationships can feel. As the first light of dawn starts to paint the sky, Melissa yawns and stretches. I should probably head home. Some of us have to teach in the morning. I nod, standing with her. This was really nice. Melissa smiles, leaning in for a soft kiss. It was. Let's do it again. Soon as I watch her drive away, I realize something. The house behind me, once a reminder of my broken marriage, now feels like a place for new beginnings. I head inside and go straight to the kitchen for a much-needed cup of coffee. As the rich aroma fills the air, my phone buzzes with a text. It's from Carolyn. Heard the divorce is final. How are you holding up? I type a quick response. Better than expected. Thanks for everything, Carolyn. Couldn't have done it without you. Sipping my coffee, I wander into the living room and spot a framed photo. I haven't had the heart to put away Lila and me on our wedding day. For the first time in months, I can look at it without feeling that sharp stab of pain. I take the photo down, study it briefly, then, with a sense of finality, place it in a drawer. It's a closed chapter now. My phone buzzes again, this time with a message from Franklin. Got word from the DA. Trevor's pleading guilty to avoid a trial. Looks like he's facing at least 5 years. Thought you'd want to know. I read the message twice, waiting for the surge of satisfaction I thought I'd feel. Instead, there's just a quiet sense of closure. Trevor made his choices, and now he's facing the results. It's as simple as that. Just as I'm about to reply, another text comes through. This one from Melissa. Can't stop thinking about last night. Dinner again this weekend. I smile, a flutter of excitement rising. Absolutely, can't wait. Setting my phone down, I walk over to the window and gaze out at the city stretching before me. The sun is rising, painting the sky in brilliant shades of pink and gold. It's a new day filled with endless possibilities. I think back on everything that's happened, the betrayals, the pain, the drive for revenge. It all led me to this point, and despite everything, I wouldn't change it. It's made me stronger, wiser, and more grateful for the good things in life. As I stand there, watching the city wake up, I make a quiet promise to myself to let go of the past, embrace the future, and live each day to the fullest. The road ahead won't be without challenges. There will be obstacles, doubts, and setbacks. But for the first time in a long time, I'm excited for the journey. I raise my coffee cup in a silent toast to new beginnings, second chances, and life in all its messy, complex, beautiful glory. The future is calling, and I'm ready to answer.